Hello everybody, welcome back to the Wheels on Wheels YouTube channel, and today we're going to be looking at our once abandoned, now recovered E46 compact project. I've just been over to my friend Jack's house, who I bought the car off of, to collect some bits and bobs like an M Sport front bumper and some extra parts that I can use to do this thing up with. But that's not the focus for today's video. Today's focus is going to be on getting this thing through MOT. Now, I've had a look at the car and there's only two things that I can see that might cause it to fail. In fact, will cause it to fail. One of them is a rear number plate light, pretty minor. And the second thing is a pretty severe blow in the exhaust at the back because of some really horrendous exhaust work that's been done. I'll show you that in a moment. But yeah, I'm hoping it will just pass MOT as it is. There doesn't seem to be a lot wrong with it, to be honest, now that it's running on all four cylinders. So I'm going to jack it up and I'm going to show you that exhaust. I'm just going to bodge it for now, and then I'll get a nicer exhaust done down the line once I decide whether I'm going to supercharge this thing or do an M54 swap. So join me while I jack this thing up. Okay, so it's time to jack the car up at the rear. You may be able to see that I've got some filler here on the rear tailgate, and that's because there was actually some holes in it. So the rainwater would have actually ran into the car. So I've just put a bit of filler on it for now. So it looks terrible, but I'll sort that later. Yeah, let's jack it up. One thing I love about BMWs is they're really easy to jack up. You've got big plastic jack pads on the sides. On the rear, you've got the diff and the diff mount that you can jack it up on. Yeah, there's plenty of places to jack up a BMW. It's quite convenient, really. Although I suppose you'd need it with a BMW, wouldn't you? At least there's that. Grab my axle stands. Okay, let's see what we've got. So here we are underneath the car at the back now. As I say, I've already had a look underneath the car and everything looks pretty good. Until, of course, you look at the exhaust and you can see here, this piece has had about 4 or 5 different pieces welded together to make a section that joins to this what looks to be homemade back box. But remarkably, the only holes in it are these ones here. I'm going to fill those and hopefully this car is then ready for MOT. I mean, there are a few other little issues that could be addressed, such as slightly leaking shock absorbers. I don't think that's bad enough to fail MOT though, and general surface corrosion. But it's really not that bad for a 25-year-old BMW. So to fix this, to get it through its MOT test, I'm just going to bodge it for now by using some gun gum paste and some gun gum bandage. This is just a temporary measure while we decide what we want to do with the rest of the car, because obviously if I do an engine swap, I might want a whole exhaust system fabricating. So there's no point trying to spend time fixing this. We just want to get it through MOT today. Get a bit of the paste and whack it on. Wet the bandage, put it on, see what happens. I've never really had much success with this bandage. I've usually just used the paste, to be quite honest with you. Let's see what happens. I'm going to use some of this included wire to hold it in place.
A few moments later.
Okay, I've given up on the wire idea. Instead, I'm going to use cable ties because the wire is a bit crap. Well, either that or I don't know how to use it. Probably the latter, actually. I'm just going to use these cable ties, but of course I'm going to take them back off once it's set, because the one thing I do know about this bandage is it sets quite solid. Right, that looks ridiculous. But I'm going to come back tomorrow and take off the cable ties and probably the wire as well, to be honest. And then we'll know if it's leaking again or not in the morning. And finally, we just need to change this number plate bulb over here. This was supposed to be a cool transition to show you the new bulb working, but here's the old bulb, here's the new bulb. It's way too big. Damn it. I'll get a new bulb another time. Well, that was a bit disappointing about these bulbs. I've obviously got the wrong ones, but I'll get the correct ones tomorrow. Anyway, if that repair, if you can call it a repair to the exhaust, works, then the next time I'll see you is on this car's maiden voyage to the MOT station. So see you then.
The next morning I replaced the number plate light bulb and checked to make sure my exhaust repair had actually worked. Then I took it down to the MOT station. Join me again in a moment after its MOT test.
And the compact has failed its MOT inspection, and I'm not sure why I'm surprised really. I only gave it a basic look over and it's been sat for 5 years. So it has failed on some minor things really, things I can fix and just adjust. So the first one is the parking brake efficiency, and they're right, the parking brake doesn't really work very well at all. Not sure why I didn't notice that before. Side repeater, again, I didn't really check all the bulbs properly clearly, because the side indicator doesn't work either. And we've got exhaust has a major leak of exhaust gases, so I need to check that one out because I'm sure I fixed that one. We'll start with the handbrake and looking at the exhaust, so I'll jack up the car. Through the magic of editing, the rear of the car will now be jacked up and the wheels removed. So as you can see, I didn't manage to get the wheels off, and that's because I don't know where the lock and wheel nut key is. However, the handbrake adjustment can be done with the wheels still on just by taking one of the wheel bolts out and using a flathead screwdriver. So I'm going to do it that way. Hopefully it works. So it's very unlikely that you guys can see this, but inside there is a little cog that you turn with a flathead screwdriver to adjust the handbrake shoes, because although these have disc brakes on the rear, they have little shoes on the inside of the disc that act as a handbrake. It's very clever, really. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this. And just got to do the same on the other side. On 2 clicks, you want it to be able to just be turned, but with some resistance. And on the 3rd click, oh yeah, perfect. Okay, that was quite easy. What an incredibly clever design. So that's the handbrake sorted, and I really rate the design of that. It was so quick and easy to do. Really, really good. So the next failure is side repeater not working near side front. Obviously this is the offside, but what I've done is I've bought some replacement side repeaters. So these are like progressive LEDs that go like that, and they're cheaper than getting original ones, and it will just help us get through the MOT. That comes out like that. New one goes in like that. So obviously LEDs are polarity sensitive, so I need to make sure I've got it plugged in the right way. So I need to just turn them on and check them. I need you to tell me if they're working. Are they working? Yes, they're working. Oh, they're not progressive. Oh well, I kind of prefer that they're not actually. They are so crap. They are absolutely rubbish. God, why are they so loose as well? It's almost like I only paid £9 for these. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's okay. And check it again. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And now we'll do the other side, which is the side that's actually failed. Really need to tidy the garage. It's an absolute mess.
1 minute later.
Okay, that's that one sorted as well. Looking really, really nice. Okay, where are we at? So we fixed this, we fixed this, and the only thing that needs to be looked at now for this to be able to pass is a major leak of exhaust gases, which I'm sure I fixed. So we'll have a look at that now. Now all of these advisories are just for the brake discs, tyres, and a corroded spring. All of these things, before we put a lot of power through this thing, I'm going to be replacing. So I'm going to ignore these for now and just focus on the main things, just to get it passed so that I can legally drive this on the road. Just quickly going under here, have a quick look for any leaks before I get gassed out. Maybe a very slight leak there where I've repaired it, but not exactly a lot. One thing the MOT tester mentioned to me that isn't actually on the MOT failure report is that the car kept misfiring for him, so it wouldn't have passed the emissions. And it's a bit strange because it was running fine and is running fine again now, although it occasionally misfires a little bit. So I'm going to plug in my diagnostic laptop with BMW diagnostic software on and this cable, and hopefully we can figure out which cylinder is actually misfiring so that we can hopefully fix the issue. One thing I did think when he mentioned this to me is that this still has the original fuel in it that was presumably in the car when it was laid up 5 years ago before we uncovered it. So that could be part of the issue. So what I've done is I filled up a 20-litre jerry can and I've filled it up, which seems to have helped a little bit. But occasionally there is still a little bit of a misfire that seems to be getting better. So maybe the fuel is helping. But I want to just have a look at the diagnostics. So I've got a laptop and a cable. So hopefully we can figure out which cylinder is misfiring, and then I can replace the spark plug and the coil pack. Here is the diagnostic software. We clearly have a lot of faults in the DME, which is the engine ECU. Right, yeah, there's absolutely loads in here. Right, so here are the ones we actually care about. Thermal oil level sensor, don't care about that. Camshaft sensor intake, that could be related, but I'm thinking this is probably more accurate. So we've got misfire detection on cylinder 2. We've also got fuel injector cylinder 2. If I click on that, wonder what it's going to say. Open circuit on fuel injector number 2. So I think we probably have an issue with the fuel injector on cylinder number 2. So we now know we likely have an issue with the second fuel injector, and thanks to Jack's box of parts that he's kindly given with this car, we have a whole fuel rail with 2 injectors on it. So I have a spare injector or 2 to try. So I'm going to see if I can take this all apart just from memory. I'm going to try and not look anything up. Yeah, get that injector replaced. So I'm going to start off by removing all of this stuff underneath the windscreen. That's quite easy. That's quite disgusting. Next, it looks like we've got well, there should be 4 Torx screws, but looks like there's 3. And then this, I think, should come out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we already seem to have more access, so that's looking pretty good. Take this off. In fact, I'm not even sure we'll need access to this side because we're not replacing any coils or spark plugs. I think it's just this bit we need to remove. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this plastic beauty cover here, and I'm amazed by how rusty these bolts are. This must have been wet at some point. That's quite easy. And there we have our fuel rail. I must say I really am enjoying working on this engine so far. Everything's reasonably accessible so far. I'm sure not everything is, but you know, this particular job seems quite straightforward. So we've got a little valve here to release the pressure from the fuel rail. I'm about to prepare to get covered in fuel. I'm going to press in the valve if I can. Ah! Yeah, covered in fuel. Surprisingly not that much pressure, which is a bit concerning. So now all I need to do is disconnect this main fuel feed line, which has one of these annoying plastic things you have to push. I know there's proper tools you can get to actually help release these, but I'm just going to have to do it by hand. Once that's removed, I think there's just 2 bolts, and the whole fuel rail should just come out. Just got 2 flathead screwdrivers to try and push this plastic thing in. Ah, easy work, easy peasy. Okay, I think all we need to do now is just pull the fuel rail up with all the injectors attached. I think that's how that works. Let's have a look at the new one, actually. Yeah, I don't see any reason why that won't just pull up. There we go. So this here will be our failed injector, hopefully. This is cylinder 2, so just remove this little clip, then remove the electrical connector clip as well. Unplug the connector. Hopefully we can just pull out the injector. Now I did actually have issue getting the injector off the other rail. I've just gone and done it, thinking it would be a 2-second thing. But they get quite stuck by the looks of it. God, it's very stuck. Oh, there we go. Wow. Oh, and fuel is absolutely pouring out. Oh no, that's not good. That is not good. Fuel absolutely pouring out all over the engine. How to start a fire 101. There's a little O-ring that has not come off, so I need to get my pick tool like this. Such an excellent tool, by the way. And we need to get the old O-ring out. There we go. Oh, that was easy. Just put it on there for safekeeping. And we've got the replacement injector here. This may be the completely wrong thing to do. There may be a million reasons why you don't do this, but this is what I'm going to do. I've got some dielectric grease. Should be fine on rubber and plastics. And I'm just going to put it onto these seals just to help me insert the injector in and insert the rail onto the injector, or whichever way around that is. Here it is with the grease on. Put it in place. Got this little clip, just put that on. And lastly, we've got this clip to put on, just goes on there like that. There we go. Just needed a bit of coercion there. Right, just to help me insert all of these injectors, actually, I'm going to put a bit more dielectric grease on each one of the O-rings. Time to reinsert the rail. plug the main fuel line back on. 2 tiny little bolts here. Tighten them down. And we do have this little bit of plastic here that wasn't really attached to anything before. I'm going to see if I can attach it. A bit pointless, I know, but I like to do things properly if I can. There we go. Much better. Okay, that's it more or less ready to start. Let's try it out. Obviously it's not all fully assembled yet, but we just need to test it out. Just make sure what we've done actually works. Oh, like a dream. Just checking for any fuel leaks or anything like that. That's running sweet as a nut now. Pretty happy with that. Right, pop the covers back on. Now I'm leaving it idling so I can sort of hear for any misfires, because it was intermittent before, it was sort of sporadic. So far, no misfires whatsoever, so I think it's looking good so far. Who said working on BMWs was difficult and not fun? This is genuinely the most fun I've had in a long time working on a car. It's just been satisfying. Everything's come apart, I've replaced the injector, and it's fixed the issue. Brilliant. While I've got the bonnet open, I'm going to replace these grills for the original silver ones. That was way too easy to remove, mainly held in with this cable tie. This must be glued in or something. I think it probably is glued in. There we go. So that one was much better, to be fair. So here we have the original chrome grills. The reason why I'm doing this is I think the plan with this is actually to de-rice it in a way. So kind of put it back to factory, but with a wrap and some sort of OEM plus nice mods. I think having black on the outer grills is nice, but it depends on the car. I think for something like this, it just looks so rice. So original chrome it is. There you go. What do we think? I'm not sure if it looks better, but it looks a bit more factory. Let's go for that. Okay, MOT take 2.
3 days later.
And the BMW has now passed. With plenty of advisories, as you can see, but that doesn't matter as long as it's road legal to drive. That's all I want for now, so that I can get started with the actual project. You may notice behind me is just an empty garage, and that's because the compact has gone in for 2 recalls at BMW, and it was supposed to be done in 2 hours, and it's now 2 days later, and I still don't have the car back. So I'm currently just waiting for the recalls to be done, but I'm not going to chase them too much because I already feel bad enough as it is making them pay all that money for a car like that. And it was pretty funny when I took it to the BMW dealership as well, because I felt like a proper imposter. I parked it directly opposite a brand new G80 M3 competition, and yeah, I just felt ridiculous, to be honest. I will keep you guys posted on that. Hopefully we get the car back soon so we can actually begin this project. I want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for watching. I really appreciate all the support on this project. Really means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.